I checked the joint account. We were saving for a house, $42,000. Gone. She was on a beach in Tulum, laughing, pretending nothing happened. But I'd changed one thing she never saw coming. What happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. But first, let's go back to the beginning. The morning after Tessa left, the house felt hollow in that particular way only silence knows how to sharpen. Her suitcase had left a square imprint in the carpet. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway, mingling with the scent of coffee I'd brewed out of habit, not want. The cat sat on the kitchen counter, confused by the absence of the woman who usually scolded her off it. I picked up my phone to scroll through emails, mind still in that soft static space before full wakefulness. That's when the alert came through. Your balance has dropped below $50. The phrase might as well have been a gunshot. At first, I thought it was an error. I closed the app, reopened it, refreshed, again and again. Then I saw it. Joint checking, available balance, $42.13. I didn't blink. My eyes just widened, the way a man stares at a car crash he didn't expect to see but can't look away from. I scrolled down. Multiple transfers, not one lump sum, not a sudden wire out that could be flagged. No, these were broken up. Purposefully, cleanly. Every few minutes, another deduction. $9,200, then $8,500, $6,300, until it was gone. That money wasn't just a number. It was Christmases where we skipped gifts to save more. It was Sunday mornings I took extra freelance projects instead of sleeping in. It was arguments over whether we could afford dinner out, postponed repairs on the old Honda, grocery bills trimmed with coupons. And it was ours. That's what made it feel like a betrayal wrapped in ice. Not the money, the calculation, the choice. Tessa hadn't even waited a full day. She hadn't called, hadn't sent a text to explain. She knew I'd find out. But the truth was, she didn't care how or when. The theft was a message. And the message was simple. I never thought you'd do anything about it. I sat there, phone in one hand, the other clenched so tight it ached. No panic. Not yet. Just a slow, burning numbness, like emotional frostbite setting in. I wasn't just robbed. I was erased, cut out of a decision we'd built 7 years toward. She was sipping cocktails in Tulum. I was sitting in a kitchen built on trust she'd just detonated. I didn't panic. I didn't even call her. Panic is a luxury you earn when you don't see the knife coming. I saw it months ago. I stared at the screen, not with shock, but with the calm clarity of a man watching the final piece click into place. The transfers weren't sloppy. They were meticulous, executed in the early hours, staggered to avoid suspicion. None large enough to trigger automated flags. Each routed to a different account under subtly altered names. This wasn't impulse. This was design. And the moment I saw it, I realized something else. She didn't just want the money. She wanted the escape, the exit. And she wanted to leave me stunned and silent when she slipped through the crack. She thought I'd freeze, maybe crumble, maybe go quiet and lick my wounds. She never understood who I really was. See, I'd already had my moment of doubt. It happened a year earlier, the night she told me she was at a friend's art gallery but posted a story from a rooftop bar. Her friend wasn't there. I didn't confront her, didn't accuse. Instead, I did what most people forget how to do when they're hurt. I watched. I read everything I could about marital fraud, about how financial betrayal often begins long before the affair. I spoke with a bank manager under the pretext of wanting to secure our assets. He thought I was being proactive. In truth, I was preparing for war. The first step was clean, set a dual authentication policy on any transaction over $10,000. Most couples don't bother. But I knew if she ever tried to take everything, she'd aim for one clean sweep. Turns out she was smarter than that. She fractioned the withdrawals. But so did I. My protection wasn't in the limits. It was in the mirror. I created a clone system, an account that tracked every input and output of the joint account in real time, feeding alerts to an inbox she didn't know existed. I embedded a passive logging script on our shared laptop that recorded browser sessions and IP locations for any banking activity. So when I opened the email thread marked Alert, Unauthorized Disbursements, I didn't just see numbers. I saw timestamps, devices, locations, names of banks I'd never heard her mention. She was in Tulum, drinking mango margaritas under the sun, but her fingerprints were all over this digital heist. She thought she'd buried the evidence. What she didn't know was I'd already built the coffin. The call came while I was folding laundry. Ordinary shirts, worn jeans, a life built on routine. My phone buzzed, her name lighting up the screen like some twisted joke. I let it ring once before picking up. Her voice poured through the speaker, light and carefree, barely audible over the crash of waves and the distant shriek of gulls. "Hey, babe," she chirped, like this was just any Wednesday. "You won't believe the drama. One of the girls had her card declined. Total mess. So I just covered it." My grip tightened on the towel I was folding. "With $42,000. My tone was flat, surgical, almost bored. Not anger, not confusion, just the presentation of a fact, a cold blade laid bare. There was a pause, like a record skipping. "Ryan, don't start," she said, switching to the defensive before I could even breathe. "It's not like that. We share things. You've always said that. You make more than me anyway. It's just money." Just money. Funny how people say that when it's not their money. I didn't argue. I just let the silence stretch until she filled it herself. People hate silence, especially guilty ones, especially manipulators. And Tessa, she was no amateur. She was good. Too good. "I've been thinking," she said finally, her voice shifting into something practiced, almost wistful. "About LA. This trip has made me realize how small everything feels back home, like I've been limiting myself, living someone else's plan." She meant mine. She talked like I was a placeholder, like the life we built was some temporary scaffolding around a dream she now wanted to redesign. Solo. "You always play it safe, Ryan," she added, almost like it hurt her. "You don't fight. You don't push back. I didn't think you'd even notice." That was the part that stuck. Not the theft, not the escape plan, but the quiet certainty in her voice that I wouldn't fight, that I was small. She thought I was the kind of man who fades. She didn't know I'd already spoken to an attorney who could smell blood in a heartbeat. She didn't know I had flagged every account she used for those transfers, marked them fraudulent, frozen them before the cocktails dried on her glass. And most of all, she didn't know the money she took wasn't legally mine to lose. It belonged to a trust, a legal firewall she had unknowingly breached. She thought she was being clever, but what she really did was commit felony theft. She returned on a Sunday, expecting confrontation or maybe a pathetic apology, anything that confirmed the version of me she'd built in her head. Instead, she walked into silence. The living room was untouched. Her favorite mug still sat in the drying rack. The fridge hummed its lonely rhythm. But I wasn't there. No welcome home. No accusation. Just a single sheet of paper taped to the kitchen cabinet. "Everything is frozen. Lawyer's name is Peter Klein. You'll be hearing from him." I left nothing else. I didn't need to. The first voicemail came within minutes, screaming. Her voice jagged with disbelief, fury, panic. The next one was a sob, then another, vile threats laced with desperation. "I'll ruin you," she said. I'll tell everyone you controlled me, manipulated me, that you were abusive." Her arsenal was predictable, even rehearsed. But unlike her, I had receipts. Every transaction, every call, every lie she told, documented and time-stamped, legally recorded, backed up twice. I'd anticipated she'd lash out like a cornered animal, so I made sure there wasn't a crack in the foundation. This wasn't about vengeance, it was about proof. She couldn't out-talk evidence. At the bank, she tried to reclaim the funds, to cry, plead, twist the narrative into a misunderstanding. But the clerk merely looked at the screen, then at her, and said 5 cold words. "This matter is under review." She stormed out. Her friends, those same ones she toasted shots with in Tulum, slowly pulled away as the truth surfaced. One of them, Jenna, reached out to me privately, said she was horrified, said she had no idea Tessa had cleared the account behind my back, said she was willing to testify if needed. She did. In court, Peter Klein dismantled Tessa's defense with surgical precision. He presented the trust, its structure, its legal protections. He laid out the flagged transfers, the access logs, the mirrored accounts trail. Then came the recordings, her voice, in her own words, confirming the theft, the plan, the contempt. There was no spin left. The judgment was swift. I got the house, the car, everything tied to the joint assets. She walked out with nothing but $1,800 in revolving debt and the echo of a reputation that collapsed the moment her lies did. She thought she'd taken everything. But the truth? She never even knew what mattered. Because I changed one thing, and that one thing changed everything.